Hello and welcome to the 8th video on scientific writing. In the previous video, we finished our discussion of the different OCAR elements. In this video, we will discuss internal structure. We've already seen that the entire paper follows the OCAR structure. We also know that the paper is typically broken up into different sections. But each section also tells its own story, which should have its own structure. The same principles apply at every level of organization, including the paragraphs and the sentences. When it comes to a thesis, on the other hand, there is an extra layer of structure, since a thesis typically has chapters. So in the case of a thesis, you will map OCAR to IMRAD at the chapter level. You will have an introduction chapter, a methods or theory chapter, at least one results chapter, although often there are several different results that deserve their own chapter, and finally a discussion chapter. Within each chapter, the sections, paragraphs, and sentences should each tell their own story, and together they should all form an arc. More specifically, your paper or thesis should be a set of nested arcs. This compartmentalizes your thoughts, which makes them more manageable. It provides structure, where you give context, then describe the information. It allows you to create complex stories one piece at a time, and it makes it easier for readers to deal with multiple ideas in one paper. Each little arc draws readers forward. It grabs them with a local opening, engages them, and then rewards them with a resolution. Having incomplete arcs in your writing is bad. Consider these two schematics. The one on top is representing incomplete arcs, and the one on the bottom represents complete linked arcs. Each schematic contains 3 arcs, which take up the same amount of space, but the top one is painful to look at. When you write that way, you're creating an incoherent mess with no obvious direction, no internal structure, no points of clear emphasis, and it's painful to read. The reader may learn little from the work, or worse, they may misinterpret it. So what causes incomplete arcs? They usually come from stream of consciousness writing. In other words, it's when you put down thoughts as they come to mind, one idea stimulating another, all flowing onto the page. This results in ideas appearing in multiple places and incomplete arguments. A word of caution, papers or theses written the night before the deadline can look like this. But even experienced writers do this. The difference is that these thoughts don't survive to the final draft. As we saw a few slides ago, paragraphs tell a complete short story. And you can write a paragraph using any of the story structures discussed in previous videos. The fastest one is the LD structure, where the lead collapses the opening, challenge, and resolution into a single short section. A slightly slower one is the LDR structure. The lead must be engaging, but the resolution is left to the end. And of course the slower one is OCAR, where you assemble the argument first and pull the threads together to weave them into a conclusion. So how can we fix a bad paragraph? You might have the following problems. It might be too long, too rambling, or incoherent. You can try a few solutions. Try to identify the real story. What is the paragraph about? If needed, break it up into smaller paragraphs. And decide whether the story in each paragraph needs a point first or point last structure. Okay, so now it's your turn to do an exercise. I'd like you to pick one section of your paper or thesis to read. As you read it, answer the following questions. Does each paragraph make a single clear point? Are you using an arc? If so, which one? LD, LDR, or OCAR? When several paragraphs together form a section, are the linkages among them clear? Has every extraneous thought that breaks an arc been removed? And finally, when you introduce a topic, do you resolve that discussion before introducing a new topic? Now is a good time to pause the video so you can work on the exercise, and try to spend about 20 minutes on it. Okay, so I hope you've had an opportunity to work on the exercise. Now I'd just like to summarize this video. We saw that the same principles of story structure apply at every level of organization, whether it's the chapter, section, paragraph, or sentence. Having incomplete arcs in your writing is bad. It leads to an incoherent mess with no obvious direction, no internal structure, and no points of clear emphasis. And you can write a paragraph using any of the story structures discussed in previous videos, LD, LDR, or OCAR. In the next video, we're going to continue our discussion of internal structure but at the level of the sentence. See you next time!